More than 1 in 5 Canadians are apparently hoping for a home price crash that could have devastating consequences for the economy. A new Angus Reid Institute survey shows that 22% of respondents to a recent online poll said they're hoping real estate prices fall at least 30%, while 14% of respondents say they want to see prices rise by at least the same amount. Shachi Kurl is the president of the Angus Reid Institute, which conducted this survey, and joins us now. Shachi, I imagine the people who want to see those prices fall aren't doing it because they have it out for Canada's economy. Rather, they'd like a fighting chance at actually owning a home.
You know, Amber, when you consider that real estate investment in this country is inching up towards 10% of GDP overall, that's a pretty frightening headline. But it does speak, as you mentioned, just to the level of misery that people who want to get into the market and can't get into the market are experiencing. And of course, not everybody feels the same way relative to what's going on in their lives around housing or where they live. So if you're a homeowner in Calgary who's really struggling with a mortgage payment against the backdrop of diminished work or lost work, or if you're in the Canadian oil patch or energy sector, and this has been a particularly brutal year, I mean, albeit it's been a brutal year across many, many sectors, you're not hoping that prices fall. In fact, you're hoping prices rise so you can protect your asset. But for the number of Canadians who are either trying to get into the real estate market in the usual hotspots, such as Greater Toronto, the GTA or Metro Vancouver, or now even smaller places such as Halifax, there is a sense that people are increasingly getting that sense of being priced out of the market. And again, that desire to see prices crash as much as a fifth of Canadians are wishing for really does have to do with almost a cri de coeur, a red flag that they're putting up saying, help, we want to get into the market and that we can't.
Yeah, the survey drives home for me that this is a market of the haves and the have-nots. I imagine if you have a home, you want prices to go up, and if you don't, you want them to come down so that you can afford it. So if that's the case, what kind of policy responses is appropriate, or does it highlight the difficulty of creating a policy response? Because you have people who are basically diametrically opposed on what they want to see happen, depending on, which side of the market they're sitting on.
Well, of course, I'm not a policymaker, but I can certainly reflect, again, the data that Canadians are telling us. And you talk about that have and have not. It's why we titled the survey that, because it really speaks to that divide. And of course, some of the things we've seen happen in the past pre-pandemic, we saw the CMHC come in and try to put some limits on the amount you could put down and really create some braking or really trying to gear down the market in that way and cool it. Sort of the Vancouver solution. Of course, that in turn created, I think, a lot of frustration for first-time buyers and early stage buyers who said, well, no, we'd actually like to get into the market and now we can't. That drives up more pent-up demand. And against the backdrop of really low interest rates, an unlikelihood that we're going to see increases in rates as long as Canadians need to get through the financial crisis that has been caused by the pandemic and get into a place of recovery, it's unlikely we're going to see money getting more expensive to borrow. So that's not likely something to cool the market. And then again, cooling the market, as we've talked about, has an impact on the other side on the economy, because so much of Canada's economy now is tied up not in just the buying and selling of homes, but when we think about construction, when we think about real estate services, when we think about decor or home staging or all the little businesses that go with the business of real estate, the knock-on effect, in fact, has the potential to be quite devastating if we see those prices crash. But again, At the same time, when we see data, Amber, coming out of this report, which is on our website, angusreid.org, that says renters are now starting to just give up on ever entering the market. Again, that's a pretty strong signal of hopelessness, particularly among young people. You've got about 1 in 5 young renters now saying that they're no longer interested in buying a home, full stop. You've got another 25% who say they don't think in their lifetimes they'll ever be able to afford a home. And then another significant chunk, about half of those renters saying, you know what, they wish they could get into the market, but it's just not something they can afford to do right now. So you see that other side of it. What's interesting is that you've also got a smaller segment of homeowners, mostly people who have paid off their home, Amber, and people who bought a long time ago, also kind of in agreement that housing prices actually need to cool a little bit. Of course, easy to say when your asset is largely protected, paid off, and you have no plans to leave it.
Absolutely. And, I remember you guys did a survey a couple of weeks ago that we talking about, the anxiety, the concerns that Canadians have, just generally about the state of economy and their jobs and things like that amidst the pandemic. And I think it was a couple of days later where it was another survey that showed that, Canadian consumer confidence is at these multi-year highs, but underpinning that has been housing. So, your surveys kind of gauge everyday sentiment, the insecurity that people have who don't own homes versus the confidence. I mean, that seems to be the deciding factor, right? And how confident you are, how secure you feel is, has your home price? Do you own one, and has it gone up?
Has it gone up, and how comfortable are you with the prospect of either losing work and being able to make your monthly payment, or seeing an increase in your monthly payment? Again, we're dealing with, and up and down, but over a 20-year trend, we're dealing with mortgage rates we've never seen before at historic lows, and so there is a level of confidence among people. A lot of white-collar workers who've been able to make the transition to working from home quite comfortably have maybe lost a commute but haven't lost a day's work. This has been a period wherein they've probably felt a little bit more confident about getting into the market because they reason, well, it's never going to be, notwithstanding the price of buying that home, cheaper for us to borrow. But you've also got a lot of folks who are now feeling ever more precarious around the work that they're in. They've either lost work and have been dependent on CERB, or they're working on the front line. They're worried about getting sick and they don't have sick pay, or other things are happening in their life where either the specter of lost work or the specter of an increased mortgage payment is just the thing that would tip them from being in an okay place right now to a very precarious and difficult place. And that line is so fine at the moment. And so we have to see what the next 12 months bring around sorting out, do people for the most part stay above that line, or do you see people starting to slip under the surface due to circumstances that may not have to do with rising house prices, but have to do with other aspects of their day-to-day lives and their home economics?
Hard to see how the federal budget could ignore these statistics, and we'll look for that in a couple weeks' time. Shachi Kurl, thank you so much for joining us, president at Angus Reid Institute.